Obviously, everybody in our profession is excited about the season when this time of year comes around. We are too. I mean, we think we're going to have a pretty good football team. We have a challenging schedule. We'll see how it all works out.
Can you talk about Maxwell Smith? What he showed you, what surprised you?
Well, nothing surprised us because we can remember him when he was in high school, and we recruited him in high school. We watched his film when he was actually playing and starting at the University of Kentucky. He did a nice job there. When we got him here, he's a big, strong guy, but he's very mature. He hadn't played much here lately, so he was rusty when we got into spring practice. He was much better at the end of spring practice than he was at the beginning of spring practice. And he's going to compete to be the starting quarterback.
What were his strengths?
He's tall, he's big, he's got a pretty good arm with really good touch. He was probably the most accurate quarterback we had during spring ball. Another attribute is because of his age, and he's a transfer guy. He's actually started in the Southeast Conference before. Started when he was really young, but he hadn't played in a while because he got hurt, and then by the time he came back, it was a new coaching staff and a new system and a new starting quarterback, so he didn't play much. So it's been a while since he played, but he's played in stadiums with a lot of people and a lot of noise and against good players, and so you would guess that's one of his advantages. He's been there before.
Does it look like right now Smith has the edge to be the starting quarterback?
I wouldn't say that, no. I'd say that Christian Chapman and Maxwell go into fall camp on an equal basis.
Rocky, when do you want to make that decision? Do you like to do it early, or do you like to see how it plays out, or that decision will take care of itself?
Well, I won't make that decision. Our offensive staff will make that decision.
Or the players make that decision, really?
Well, ultimately the players make the decision, sure. But our offensive staff will decide when they want to name a starting quarterback.
They don't trust
For me,
for
the sooner the better. But no, I give them. They have control of the offense.
Right.
What about Christian, Rocky? What have you seen as far as his advancement in the last year?
A lot. I mean, he's a good athlete. He's got some quickness and speed about him. He's got a quick release of the football, and he's very accurate with the football too. That's his positives. His downside is he hadn't played before at this level, and he's probably 6 foot tall, where Maxwell's 6'4".
Coach, a lot more mobile, though, right?
I don't know about a lot. He's more mobile. Yeah, he's more mobile. Mm-hmm.
Coach, your thought, just playing USD, doing basketball and baseball, and now you get to do it in football.
Well, I think it's a game that developed for a lot of reasons, mostly scheduling issues. But I hope the community embraces the game. I hope a bunch of people come out for both sides and embrace the game. So it's worth for both of us to be in that game.
Depth at running back. I don't think State's had this kind of riches in a while.
Strongest position on our team is running back. We've got one of the premier running backs in the country. In my opinion, the best running back in our league. But most people don't know there's 3 guys behind him that can play too. One's another little guy, Chase Price. He's not really little. He's just short, but he weighs about 190-something pounds. He's the one with the most experience, and then the other 2 guys are youngsters, but they're big guys. I mean, they're both 215, 220. They both can run.
Coach, initial reaction to the uniforms and whatnot, just your overall thoughts on that.
Ask the players that one. Uniforms don't matter to me. As long I just wear it black on black with a black helmet and let's go. And that uniform's fancy. I mean, it's fancy and stuff. It's cool. I've been told it's cool. I have no coolness about me, so I've been told it was cool, so I'm just going by what I was told.
Can you talk about Pumphrey and how he's grown?
Well, I don't. I think the most amazing thing to us is two things. Number one, going into last year, we weren't sure he could carry the ball 25 or 30 times a game because of his size. And obviously he proved he can, which is pretty amazing for a guy his size. And then running between the tackles where he can make people miss or break tackles or run over people for his size, that's pretty amazing too. When he's in the open field, he's a lot like some other running backs we've had here. He can outrun some of them. He can make them miss. He can make tacklers look really bad in the open field. But so could Ronnie Hillman. But Ronnie didn't run between the tackles like DJ does.
What do you like about your defense?
We have a lot of experience coming back. They played really well last year. So we should start ahead because of experience. Last year we went into the season with very little experience in the secondary. Really worried at safety because they were all brand new. And this year, I mean, all 5 of the starters from last year are back. So they ought to be confident. We can probably do some things with them that we didn't do with them last year as far as disguising coverages or scheme-wise. I think our defensive line is big and strong, and we've got some experience there. We've got a couple really good veteran linebackers, but then linebackers the key. Because after Calvin Munson and Jake Feely, none of the rest of the guys have played. So the depth at linebacker is a concern.
Munson take over games last year defensively, the back half of the schedule?
No, I don't know. He made some big plays, if that's what you mean. He made some big plays that changed momentum in games and helped us win games. That's a fallacy that a defensive player takes over a game. It's not the same as a quarterback. A quarterback can get hot and be the one guy that determines the outcome of the game. On defense, it's 11 guys that determine the outcome.
Rocky, can you talk a little bit about Whitaker and what his presence means back there?
Oh, JJ's a good player.
Yeah.
He's got a great personality that lends itself to being a leader on our football team. So he does a great job of leading that unit, the defensive unit. He does a great job with them. And you can't do that unless you can play. You can't be a leader unless you can play. But he also exhibits the work ethic and the want to and the pride and all that stuff that you like to see in a player. Because there are leaders in this world that lead the wrong way too. But he leads in the right way, so that's a good thing for all of us.
In terms of the defenses you've coached in your career, where do you think this one ranks? Just looking at it right now.
It's impossible to say now. I mean, if you'd asked me that same question last year, I'd have never said we were going to be the 13th ranked defense in the country scoring-wise. I'd have never guessed in my wildest dreams that would have been in the top 10 in pass defense. I'd have never guessed that. Well, this defense has a chance, because of experience, to be just as good as that. Okay, but what you have to take into account is the kind of offenses you play against. Okay, last year we played 3 option offenses. So guess what? That allows you to play pretty good scoring defense. That allows you to play good pass defense because they're not throwing it 80 times a game at you. This year we play Cal, who has a top 5 draft choice quarterback, and we play Penn State, who has a top 5 drafting quarterback that are going to throw the ball 50, 60, or 70 times in our game. So this defense could be better, but the statistics might not be as good. So I don't know. You determine a defense basically on how many points they give up and if they give you a chance to win.
What's the burning question you want to have answered by Labor Day?
When is Labor Day?
Before you start.
Starting quarterback. That's probably the most important. Who our starting quarterback is.
What about offensive line, Rocky?
That's a concern.
Transition.
Offensive line's a concern because we have some guys that haven't either played that position before or haven't played much in a game. We need to come up with a guard, a center, and one tackle. At the start of the season, because of some suspension issues, at the start of the season, we only have 2 starting offensive linemen coming back. So there'll be 3 brand-new starters in the first game. So the offensive line is a concern.
Is pass protection or run blocking more of a concern with younger guys?
Well, the proven commodity on our team is that we can run the ball. So run blocking's the biggest concern. Because as good as those running backs are, if they don't get to get started, they don't get to show you how good they are. So the offensive line has to be able to get them started, has to give them a hole or give them a chance to make somebody miss. And if people are in your backfield the whole time, you don't get that chance. And my belief is if we run the ball well, pass protection is not near as difficult it would be as if you didn't run the ball well.
What about the receiving core? What have you seen from them so far?
I thought they made a lot of improvement in spring practice. For us to win games, they're going to have to play it a lot better than they played last year.
What was most disappointing about their play? What were the issues?
Well, I don't think they aggressively fought for the ball. I don't think they blocked on the perimeter like they should have. I think they were really, really young. So the other things they had a problem with, all young players do. Their routes weren't exactly right. They weren't the right adjustments to the coverage sometimes. But that's what you get with a lot of young players. What I was disappointed is their aggressiveness last year. Going for the ball and blocking, I was disappointed in their aggressiveness.
Do you think Hunky's made strides on that front?
I have no idea. We're going to find out. I mean, they were more aggressive in spring practice, but that's easy because that's a very comfortable. Spring practice is a very comfortable situation because they know everybody. You get on the field the first time against someone you don't know, and then we'll see how aggressive they are.
Any update on Deshaun Holmes?
We've talked to him. We've actually talked to Deshaun. That's big progress.
When did you guys talk to him?
Talked to him last week. In fact, the first time we actually talked to him in person was last Saturday. Mm-hmm. And we've talked to him and people with him a couple times since then. Mm-hmm. Now, there's some academic things that he has to provide proof of, which takes some time because they don't come from him and they don't come from relatives. They come from institutions. And all those institutions are in summer break. So there's some academic issues that have to be resolved before he could show up. Now, he gives us the indication he wants to show up.
Has he explained to you, or did he explain on Saturday why he wasn't?
No.
Lost contact with
No,
you?
he didn't. He didn't explain any of that.
Assume you guys asked, right?
Yeah. So he didn't answer. And how many guys that age do you talk to on the phone, other than your son?
Not even him.
First of all, that age group very seldom talks on the phone. Very seldom talks on the phone. It's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's texting, so when you talk to them, even in person when you talk to them, if they do not have an answer or they don't want you to know the answer, they don't say. And you can coax them all you want, and they're not going to say. He didn't say. We asked. He did not say.
Are you now a little bit wary of what he?
Well, there's no chance he's going to play this year, if that's what you mean. Because he won't be here for camp. Hopefully he'll be here by the first day of school.
Is there anybody else that won't be practicing early on, either medical issues or academic issues?
Well, we had a couple of our new guys, 2 offensive linemen, that showed up with knee injuries that had to get operated on. So they won't get the practice, and they won't play. One's Deshaun Dixon, the other one is Pesi Savea. They both showed up here, and obviously they worked out harder than they've ever worked out before, and they had some pain in the knee. So we took them in and x-rayed and MRI'd them and all that stuff, and both of them needed knee operations. So they won't. The rest of them should be off. Yeah, the rest of them should be fine.
Outside of Holmes, all the recruits academically made it?
They all made it academically. We might gray shirt one of them, Jatori Brown, because he's coming off a knee injury that he got in his senior year of high school, and he's not 100% yet. So we've already contacted him about gray shirting and coming in January.
Have you remained in contact with Michael Peoples?
Yes.
Same, still?
He's going to come in January because he's not completely healed either.
ACL?
He had knees and shins, and
Oh,
he had two, both of his fronts of his leg needed to be repaired. He had cracks in them.
Rocky, a year ago, you were saying Jake Feely was a huge part of whether you would have success or not. And we all know what happened. Are you a little more guarded in what you can expect from Jake, given all of the issues he's had? Or
There's no doubt that Jake Feely is a really, really good football player. And if he can stay healthy, he'll really help us. I want it more for him than our team, that he can get through a season injury-free. Because the kid, that's what he is. I mean, he's a great football player, and he loves to play. And it's really sad to see someone that likes to play that much not be able to. So for his sake, I'm hoping that he can get through the whole season fairly healthy and get to play out his time, because he's probably too small to play at the next level. So this might be his last chance to play the game that he loves. And if you just watch him play, you can tell he loves the game. Now, if that happens, guess what? We'll be a whole lot better on defense too, which is a good deal too.
Any other questions for Coach?
schedule analysis, Rocky? It's a long run before you guys get some.
Yeah, I think you're the one that told me. Do we play 8 straight games or something, or 9 straight games before we get a break? That shows you how much I look at a schedule. Because I look at, basically I look at the first 3 games, and then from then on I look at 3 games at a time. Because we start breaking film down on the first 3 opponents, and then the next 3 opponents, and the next 3 opponents. But I'm only 3 games out at any time. So other than people are making a big deal out of it, I would have a hard time. I'll promise you I don't know who our 5th game is. I don't even know who it is. And I wouldn't know our 4th game was Penn State, except people are making a big deal out of it. And I just watched ESPN, and James Franklin was on ESPN in some interview about Penn State, and they put the schedule up there. I didn't know ESPN did this. I was trying to find what Cal was. They put ESPN put a schedule up, and then they say who they play. Then they give the team a percentage of if they're going to win or not. Their first game, they're playing Temple or somebody, and it was 60-something% that they were going to win. So I went down there and looked at San Diego State, and it's 84% Penn State is going to win. So I'd say we're a huge underdog, wouldn't you? And so then I went online and started looking for the Cal one to see what that one's to, and I couldn't find it. I'll find it eventually. I didn't know ESPN did that. I should stop watching ESPN. That's stupid.
The USD game, I know Sturck's emphasis was on getting you guys a game before Cal. Obviously, there's going to be an incredible difference between the speed at which USD plays and the speed at which Cal plays. Given that, is that a concern that you're going to see a completely different style of football one week, and then the next week, would you almost have been better off practicing?
No, I had obviously the reason we're playing USD is hopefully the community gets behind it. That's probably the number one reason. The second reason is we were struggling because of the time we thought we were going to leave the league, and then we came back. Our scheduling got to be a huge issue, so it was hard to find a game. And at the time, I didn't know who we were going to play or what we were going to play, but I did know that football players that work 11 months out of the year to play games, they deserve a 12th game. No matter what the situation is, they deserve to play 12 games. So no, it's not better than practicing.